Hello everyone and welcome to another Ashes Wednesday. As you can see, my lovely co-host Steven is not with us today, so I'm just going to be hanging out and doing some deck building, probably decks that I'll end up playing next week on camera. And before we dive in, I'd love to know how everyone's doing, hear from everyone, and first step for me after I check in and make sure everything's working, how do we look and sound? When Steven's not here, I always get a little technically nervous because like I move the camera around and stuff. But I'll be cruising through the different Phoenixborn, probably picking out a couple, and then going through my deck building process, which has gone pretty okay so far. I'm really happy with the decks that I have built for Odette and Brennan and Maoni. Someone I'm particularly interested in exploring today is Jericho. And then hopefully I'll actually be able to get Jericho on the table next week when Steven is actually back for Ashes Wednesday. What up, Mr. B. Figaro saying, hey. Mehmet was asking if I was talking to you guys before. Now, I was actually talking to the marketing team who are the ones that'll pop cards up all throughout the stream and just making sure everything was working before we got started and dove in. Funkula, good. I haven't seen your name in a minute, but it's good to see you. Saying, sounds good, looks great. Well, hey, really appreciate that. Just making sure the sound is fine too. I turned off Steven's mic. I noticed after a couple solo streams that there's a light buzz in the background. That's because the mic was basically pointing at one of the devices, I don't know what it's called, that brings all the sources in and sends it to the computer and does fancy stuff. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate the compliments. But yeah, so I honestly, if you're unfamiliar with Ashes, so this is a non-collectible card game made by Plaid Hat Games, originally released in 2015. We partnered with them in 2020 through a system we call the PDP, Player Driven Production System. And it's very simple. If enough people sign up for the game will keep getting made, and we'll keep automatically charging people about once a quarter for the next things that are coming out, $29.95. As long as enough people are signed up, in this case over 1,000 people, the game is going to keep being made. And we just recently got the upgrade kits and all the Reborn products for everything that had previously been out, updated into this Reborn, which is kind of like a 1.5 version of the game. And I have been so pleased with two things. How fantastic this game is, honestly. I played it back in 2015. The core set comes with 6 Phoenixborn, and I played basically through the first 2 expansions, which was Brennan and Rin, and then got sidetracked with Destiny and Life and all kinds of stuff. So, and Star Wars Destiny, not my Destiny personally. But revisiting it through Reborn, there's like 3 to 4 years of content that came out that has been essentially revamped and redesigned with updates to the rule set, and then mostly a rebalancing and changing of cards. And they have just done particularly Nick and the design team, a stellar job updating this game. Steve and I have been it's like low-key obsessed with it. It kind of sneaks up on you. Sometimes, obviously, the pandemic makes things weird. But this is a game we always love. The art is super fantastic. Just the world itself, the feeling of the game, the way it works is truly just something spectacular and different. But the more we play, you just start really understanding the depth of the game, which I never really truly got to appreciate because of how limited my time with it was up front. It's just been amazing. So if you're new, this isn't necessarily the best place to start. I would check out Rodney from Watch It Played's How to Play Ashes Reborn. It's a 15-20 minute video, covers everything you need to know how to play. If you've been playing, now that the Reborn kit is out and the Reborn products are out, I would love to know what's your take, how's it going, and what are you thinking at this point? Like I said, we've been loving it, and so I'm really curious to know how everyone else has been enjoying it. If you're here watching a deck building session, I'm guessing that you're having a good time and interested in it, so I'd love to hear from everyone. Reading some comments real quick. Michael saying, Zach, this is great. All my Ashes stuff came in last night. I've been waiting until they show up to open, and you are deck building. I love it. Also, shout out to Plaid Hat for including Demona also. I think Demona was an old promo. Van says, do you think a deck with no conjurations and only allies and other spells is viable? I do. I particularly think it's viable if you're running the ceremonial magic, the black die, because you can get allies back out of your discard pile for 1 health, essentially, every time. Allies, if you actually start looking at conjurations versus allies are, I don't want to say better. So they're more powerful, and they're faster because you just play it, right? You don't have to play a spell and then take another action later to summon it. So the downside is, though, that they don't recur, right? And so I actually was testing this with one of my decks a month or two back, and I had a moment on turn 2, which is critical in Ashes Reborn. It's about a 3-turn game. That's most of the games we played. Steven was playing Saria recently, a little more mill control version, so we were going to 4 and 5 turns. But when you're both just trying to, swing back and forth at each other, it's about a 3-turn game. And so I had a turn 2 where I didn't draw allies, even though I had a lot in my deck. I didn't have any conjuration spells on the board. So I actually couldn't spend like 4 or 5 of my dice. And also, I couldn't put more stuff in place. So once Steven kind of eliminated those, he just took over that game very quickly. But I definitely think both styles are doable and achievable in this game, particularly because the first 5 lets you pick the card you start the game with. And so starting with a couple allies in hand, even if they go away, Ceremonial can meditate up and get them back. And there's a lot of really good allies. So I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. Chris saying, Ashes has one of the most rewarding deck building experiences of any game. It's so wide open, but naturally narrows as you go. Every creation feels unique. I do think the first 5 really helps with this because whatever concept, and Isaac, the original designer of the game, actually mentioned on the interview we did with him and Nick back in August, Nick, the new developer, new lead designer, and he was saying that one of the things he wanted out of this game, because he grew up and was basically kept out of Magic because he didn't have a lot of money as a kid growing up, or didn't have a lot of access to the capacity to get product. So it being a non-collectible card game, step 1, of course. But from a gameplay perspective, when you look at a game like Magic, one of its key issues is the resource system, and the fact that if you draw too many resources or not enough resources, you have moments where your opponent does what their deck meant to do and you don't. That doesn't feel good. Or you're doing what you meant to do and your opponent isn't even doing what they meant to do. That doesn't feel good either. Where nobody's doing what they wanted to do, not that good. And where both people are actually achieving what their deck is trying to achieve. And those games are the kind of what this game wants to do every time. So for that reason, you start with the 10 dice, you get to pick your opening hand, and that really does open it up because you are fully in control. There's very little randomness. You roll dice, but you can always meditate into whatever side you want. So the game takes goes to a lot of effort to remove that randomness, and I think that is simultaneously, it's a double-edged sword in the exact definition of that phrase, which is, that was actually the thing that was so intimidating to me after I hadn't played for like a year and I was considering playing some more at the time, was people actually are so honed in and laser focused and understand what's going on that the skill gap is so hard to overcome, right? Randomness is a great way to not allow just strictly the skill to determine, right? It gives newer players a chance, so to speak. Even if I have a 5% chance of winning, that's something. If I'm playing someone that's really good at a game and I can win sometimes, even if I'm not that good, that can be helpful. But in Ashes, I actually wouldn't be surprised if an experienced player's win percentage against a non-experienced player or a newer player is like very high, like extremely high, because of the lack of randomness completely. Missed a lot of chats here. I'm gonna try to catch up. Mammoth saying, how do you find deck building with Ashes compared to other games? I really like it. First 5, you get to choose your opening hand. So anything that you, like spells that you put on your spell board that you can start the game with, don't have to clog your deck up. Like in Game of Thrones, the LCG, you would always have, you have to run enough resource cards that produce extra resources, that you see them early. But then mid to late game, if you're seeing resource cards still, it's like that's kind of a drag. And so this game gets around that completely. It's 30 card deck, so it's a lot tighter. It's actually, choosing what to put in your deck is one of the most difficult pieces of Ashes because there's so many options and you have so little space to actually do it, put stuff in. Tyler saying, I'm really looking forward to some of the new Phoenixborn. They look great. Yeah, I really liked Lulu back in the day, and Demona looks awesome too. Van says, I'm new to the game. My son and I have played all the pre-con decks, but 2 of them, I'm thinking I might go this route when I deck build. What route are we talking about here? Justin replying to me saying, I find it a lot more simple to do a deck, a type of deck, whereas other TCGs have thousands of types of decks with thousands of options for cards. Pick a Phoenixborn and dice and cards and go for it. That is one of the nice things about the way this game is packaged. All the expansions are pre-built decks. So you can kind of get your feet wet with the Phoenixborn before you just have to figure out how to build for it. Chris saying, the hardest part of Ashes is the skinny deck. It's hard to fit in everything you want. Keith asking, what advice would you give for someone new to custom deck building for Ashes? It seems overwhelming. I think step one, hopefully today helps. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer it. I'm going to go through my process. But before you even got to doing what I'm going to be doing today, I would recommend just playing them as they come. Play them exactly as they are out of the expansion. And after you played a couple games, make tweaks. Don't completely customize the deck, but if you have cards that you draw but you never play, or things that you think you have too many copies of, pull those out, search through the collection, and find other things that you want to try in those slots. That's going to be a lot easier than just completely building a brand new deck. Plaid Hat also has a series of articles going that have basically constructed versions of decks that aren't the pre-cons. So you can find deck lists on their website, online, on ashes.live, that you think look cool, build them, play them, right? Net decking is a lot of times talked about kind of negatively, but there's nothing wrong with it. Find deck lists other people have played or posted and try them out. We will start doing this. Having an account on ashes.live where we post all the decks that we play with on the stream. So if you see a deck that you like, just build it and play it and learn. And then over time, once you get a really good grasp of the game, it's not that complex to actually put a deck together, and then you'll put it together and play it. And if it doesn't work, you just start. That's part of the joys of a game like this, right? It's an engine. You get to tweak and tweak and tweak until it works the way you want it to work. All right, yeah, Chris, let's just dive in. I'm gonna go to the top-down shot, and I'm literally gonna go through the Phoenixborn. We're gonna pick a couple, and then I'm gonna be going through my process of how I actually start building a deck, and we'll go from there and see what we end up with. I'm gonna go hit the button. All right, so first, I'm definitely gonna be checking out Jericho. So Jericho Reborn. And I just want to note a couple things about her stats. So battlefield is 7. She can play pretty wide. That's a pretty big battlefield. She also has a spell board of 3. So that's the smallest spell board, I think. There might be a 2. I think 3 is the smallest though. Regardless, 3 is a small number of spells that you can put out. She has a side action. Exhaust her. Spend a time die, so that's the new die that's coming out in the next expansion. Search your draw pile for a card and set it aside. Shuffle your draw pile, then place the set aside card on top of it. So you go pick a card and you put it on top of your deck, which is really interesting. Let me find the I don't have the reference card for the time dice. What's the turtle do? It adds or removes a status token. That's right. So if she has a way of drawing that card, that obviously could be very powerful. So I'm going to be looking at, when I'm going through the stacks of cards to pull out cards that I think would work with her, I'm going to naturally be looking for things that do also draw cards as it happens. Another thing too, usually you're going to play 2 or 3 magic types. And so the sooner you hone in on the magic types that you're going to play for a character, the easier it gets for you to build your deck. Now, I'm going to run down the cards that came with Jericho organically, because I assume those are going to naturally be pretty good with her. And then my process is literally grabbing a couple Phoenixborn that I like. And then I have my cards sorted by type. So like I have a big stack here of allies. And then these are all my summon spells. And then here's my reaction spells. And here's my alteration to units. And this is my ready spellboard spells. And then this is my action spells that I discard. And so I'm literally going to have a couple Phoenixborn in mind and go through the cards and start trying to figure out what cards I think go with that Phoenixborn. And that usually, whatever concept and idea I'm kind of cooking around, starts defining the sort of magic types that I'm into. But once you define, like if Jericho's playing time ceremonial as an example, there's actually only so many options that fit those two requirements, right? They either both of those or either of those. And so that actually thins the card pool down quite a bit. I think most Phoenixborn, like Jericho, she's printed, she has that time die symbol on her card, so she's going to want to run time die to use her ability. But if we look at someone like Mayoni, so hers is actually basic symbol. She can be played with any magic types, and it doesn't really affect her. Now her signature card, Summon Silver Snake, does require charm and nature, I believe. So that naturally makes you want to do that, but you don't have to play your signature cards. So once you filter down to the magic type you're using, though, this whole process gets a lot easier. What up, Caleb? Caleb, missed you too, man. Hope you're doing well. Nathan's saying, haven't had a chance to play yet. How's the balancing between sets? Are there any must-have sets from all the expansions? I think the balance of Reborn is incredibly good. Most of the cards got really tightened into a certain range. And the reality of how good the precons are, we played a lot of games with the precons as back in the fall, like as we were going, and we had a really good time with it. How exactly balanced they all are, I'm not 100% sure. So looking real quick at the Summon Turtle Guard. Again, these are mostly all the cards that came with Jericho. So I just want to have my mind around that before I go digging through the rest of the cards. So it costs an action and a side action and a basic to put this into play. And then to use it, you have to spend an action, side action, exhaust this spell, and a turtle. So that's the power side. You may place a Turtle Guard conjuration onto your battlefield. Focus 1, which means if you have 2 in play or more. If you do not, you may place 1 exhaustion token on an unexhausted Turtle Guard you control to place an exhaustion token on a target unexhausted unit an opponent controls. So it only costs 1 die for the unit, but it costs your action side action to play it, and a die, action side action to summon a Turtle Guard. So that is a really efficient unit if it does anything worth doing. And we'll go ahead and look at the Turtle Guard. He's rooted, so you can't attack with him. He's only good for blocking as a guard. He has unit guard, so he can guard your other units. He also has withdraw. When this unit is exhausted, prevent all damage dealt to this unit from being received. 2 attack, 3 life, 1 recover. Solid stat line. That's a really efficient blocking unit. And if the spell is focused, it also is potentially you exhaust your unit to exhaust one of theirs, which is even better than blocking. And then the Turtle Guard can't take any damage. So as an example, things that do like AoE damage to everything on the board are already coming to mind because he isn't going to be able to be damaged when he's exhausted. And this unit also has a weird ability to exhaust stuff. So things that make use of exhausting specific opponent units, also interesting. And I'm not even set on running these with Jericho, but it is something I at least have to consider. We also get a Standard Bearer, which is an action, time die, and a basic. For a 1/3/1 Resourceful, when this unit comes into play, place a status token on this unit. At the beginning of the player turn's phase, place a status token on this unit, so 1 around. When it's declared as an attacker, you can choose any number of other attacking units up to the number of status tokens on this unit. Add 1 to the chosen unit's attack value for the remainder of the turn. So Standard Bearer, you want to send with other things to attack with to boost them. We also have Accelerate to draw a card, so that works really well with her ability. Change 2 dice in your active pool to a side of your choice. You may take up to 2 additional side actions this turn. So particularly good when you have a lot of side actions to do. We also have Foresight. During the draw step, you may draw an additional card. Not bad. And it's a ready spell forward, so that just happens. Action Exhaust. Look at the top 2 cards of a target player's draw pile. Place 1 of the cards on the bottom. Place the other card on the top. So that's not bad. I think that's probably the kind of card that I would like start the game with 1 of, and then just have it in play for the extra card every round. And then it kind of lets you filter even from the get-go, but definitely a solid spell. I think that'll end up in a lot of decks. Swift Messenger, this is an ally. After a unit comes into an opponent's battlefield, you may play this unit from your hand without paying its main action cost. So it kind of reacts into play. And then when it does come into play, you get to draw a card. So that is another very useful thing with Jericho. We also have Stasis, which is an alteration. After an opponent declares attackers, you can play this spell from your hand without paying its side action cost. It is also a reaction spell until it is in play. Interesting. This unit is considered to be exhausted if it was declared as an attacker. It is no longer attacking. Action, side action, discard this spell. So you can basically react with this when they play a unit, or actually when they attack, to make it where they don't attack. And then later they're going to have to spend a whole turn just getting rid of this. Outmatch, very cool art. You may play this after an opponent declares attackers. Add 4 to the attack value of a target unit you control for the remainder of the turn. Okay, so it's good for blocking. And then the signature card, better be good. Blink. Remove a target unit from the game. At the end of this turn, place that unit onto its owner's battlefield. So it's a side action for your turn, not the round. You can take something off the board and put it back. So particularly this is good, I think, if you attack with the unit, it exhausts, then you blink, they leave play, they come back, all the tokens are presumably off of that unit. Same with like if your opponent has a conjuration or a unit with an alteration on it, goes away. There's some interesting tech here. Or if you have a unit your opponent really exhausts down or does a lot of damage to, it's just a way to clear everything. So that's an incredible card. Chris S. saying Blink is so good. Yep. Will saying, oh, I just found your sealed video for Welcome to Wraith with Steven. I'm going to go watch that. Have fun, Ashes pals. See you, Will. Enjoy the videos. Funcola says, man, I'd like to buy into this game, but I have no local buddies that would invest time or money into it. Cards look so amazing, though. Well, hey, we're working on some things to let you maybe be capable of using those physical cards if you don't have people locally to play with. So stay tuned for that. It is a great game, and it's really affordable. So even if you invest into it, you could put decks together and then just force your friends to play like I do with Steven in most of the games that we play. Okay, so we kind of have the lay of the land in terms of what came in the Jericho stack. But again, you know, none of these cards have to be played with her. Even Blink, which is an incredible card, doesn't have to be played, but it's just worth keeping that in mind. So now I'm going to do a quick scroll through the Phoenixborn and see who I'm interested in playing. I've already done Brennan. I had an Echo deck for a while. Steven's built Rin, so I'm not going to play him. Victoria is interesting to me. For a long time I didn't play Illusion because Steven really likes Illusion and we only have one collection, but now we have 2. So Victoria is high on my list of characters to build for. And at this point, I'm not even looking at what they do so much. I'm just looking at how awesome they look. I also really like Jessa. She's a character. I do not think Steven is going to often be playing Ceremonial and or Jessa. So I know she's a lot of people's favorite. So I'm going to definitely at least have her in the short stack. I feel like Cole Rourke Wynn is the kind of character that I would love. But for some reason, I just haven't ever played him. I've been recently reading the Stormlight Archive series of book, and he actually sort of reminds me a little bit of Dalinar, just in the way he is presented here in his main card. But he's got a side action / discard a card, choose a player, deal a damage to a target unit they control, or deal a damage to their Phoenixborn if they control their units. And then his signature card is 100 Blades. Deal a damage to a target Phoenixborn, deal a damage to all opponent's units, draw a card. So I should put Cole in the short stack. He plays in a way that I feel like I would be inclined towards. I just haven't ever really been super interested. I think it was because he came out in the core set. And when I compare him to like Mayoni, I love Mayoni. I don't know why. Apparently I like Egyptian theme. I didn't know that really. But I always was really excited about Mayoni, and then when Brennan came out, it's fire, fire magic. Gonna be into that. But I might give Cole a chance at some point. I always love, like, Namine is the kind of character, I love the way she looks, but she doesn't play at all like I would like it's not my necessarily type. She's running the what is that dice type called? I always forget this one. Tyler says, all about building Jericho. I'm also Astria Symboli curious. They don't get enough play for sure. I played Symboli for a while on the stream. What's the name of the horse die? Sympathy, right? Is it Sympathy? Aaron saying Koji is my go-to. I'm curious, yeah. Nathaniel saying, yeah, I think it is sympathy. So I was asking what people thought of Reborn earlier. I didn't see too many comments on that. Still love to know. But I'd also love to know which Phoenixborn you have been enjoying the most and or would love to see built for. I'm going to carry on. Xander with his giant hammer. Reminds me, you know, giant hammer, bravo. Fiona never really appealed. Harold's cool. I'll probably play him at some point. Now this is something. Aerodel. These are all the core set Phoenixborn that I'm pulling out, or mostly. So it's nature, which I love, and she does 2 damage to a unit, which is great. Then the blue Jaguar is a very offensive unit. So Aerodel's going in the short list as well. Saria, Steven's been playing her recently, and Koji, who I think eventually I'll play, but I don't know. I love the Sleeping Bear, but 10 battlefield, I'm not necessarily playing Ashes for a wide battlefield. Everyone's saying yes on sympathy. Great. Hold on. Joe saying Mayoni and Brennan are my favorites so far. Harold isn't too far behind. Those are 2 of my favorites, so kindred spirits. Justin saying I'm loving Reborn. I haven't got to play yet, but my roommate who I play with has been busy until later this week because of the finals. Well, hopefully you do get to play later. That's a pretty good post-final celebration. Yep, definitely sympathy. I like that, Python, saying symphony, which is funny because it's a music note. Justin said, I just got the last 5 Phoenixborn I needed, so I haven't played them yet. Nice. A lot of people completing their collections at this point, which is cool. Michael saying, this is tough. Tough to say which Phoenixborn. Well, on my first pass, well, I guess I have some, is there more here? Yep, James Endersight. Cool looking character. Ramia is also cool. I do like Symboli a lot. Her Purify signature card is really good. Noah Red Moon, what do you even do? Choose a target opponent and place an exhaustion on an unexhausted spell. So he's very control. And the Masked Wolf. All right, cool. Well, here's my. This is a lot. I need to cut down to a couple. So I'm gonna put coal on ice for right now. I think I'm definitely on Jericho. And then for now, I'm leaning towards Victoria and Aerodel. Mainly because I don't think I've ever even played as Aerodel. And then Victoria is someone I've wanted to build for a long time. Aaron says, I honestly recommend picking up the Reborn core set and getting a group together to draft. Then build a couple of decks from the core and expand out from there. You don't need everything. Good advice. I'm interested in trying draft at some point. John's saying Ashes and Netrunner blew up at about the same time. Ashes looks phenomenal, but there's only one best game of all time. Hoping to get to Ashes soon. Ike saying you're going to play the new game mode in Skytear next week. We do have Skytear coming up on the schedule. I don't know exactly when it is, but it'll happen. Keith saying, make Vicky good. Tim saying, +1 to Victoria. Chris saying you should build Vicky, prove the Ashes meta wrong. What's the common thought on Victoria at this point? Justin saying, James is one of my new ones, so I'm looking forward to playing him. I tried the draft. It was fun. For everyone who knows how to play and gone through most of the cards, just do it with 3 or more people. Mammoth said, isn't Aerodel a Steven deck? Well, at this point, this is the nice thing. We both have a collection. So I can play Aerodel and not have to be stealing from his cards. Keith saying, +1 Victoria. Tyler saying, y'all be trolling. Trolling about what? About Victoria? Is Victoria, she used to be really good. And then I think the opinions are mixed about her and Ashes Reborn. I am the Tim says, my brother devastated with Victoria by scrambling as a side to remove any ability to play reactions and then swinging with all. But it was swingy. What's the meta sentiment on Victoria? I need to know. Because if there are tier 1 characters, I'm not as interested. Oxfordor saying people say Victoria is at the bottom. Interested. Color me interested. Tyler says bad. Also says, where's Chaos Theory repping his Victoria Iron Rhino video? Well, let's look at Victoria. See, I'm suddenly peak interested in Victoria because of the apparent meta take. Ike saying opinion is she's the worst in the meta. All right, well, hey, let's see what this is all about. Victoria, 5 battlefield, 18 health, 5 spell board. So 5, 5, 18 is a good stat line. Strictly, she can kind of flex either direction, right? It's not too restrictive, but it's also not insane. Tim Shadden said for champions comparison, they're saying Victoria is like Hulk or Thor at best. All right, let's do it. Her surprise side action exhaust mask. Reroll up to 4 dice in a target opponent's active pool. Reroll an equal number of dice in your active pool. Okay, so side action to reroll. Then she has Copycat. You may play this spell after an opponent resolves an action spell or activated Phoenixborn ability. Resolve a copy of that spell or ability without paying its cost or activation cost. So the downside of this card is that your opponent has to do something that is also worth you doing for it to be super useful. Now, there are a lot of cases where this is, I think as we go through, I'll be looking specifically for this, but I think there are going to be a lot of cards that this is like a great direct counter to, right? You know, if your opponent exhausts one of your units, the ability to reply with a 1 cost, do the same thing back to them, can be pretty painful. But sometimes, like I think about like Neil, big awesome card. Neil gets played, doesn't really do anything to mimic that, right? Same thing with like Meteor is a good example of that could be really good. Nature's Path, same thing. Your opponent's wanting to do 1 to everything and not 2, and you suddenly make it 2. And so there's some use cases, but I could definitely see her ability itself is not guaranteed. And then her signature card also not necessarily guaranteed. But I do really like if you look at her ability, the thinking about a moment where your opponent, you know, meditates 2 or 3 cards out of their deck to switch up to power symbols. When you can start your turn with a side action to make them reroll those power symbols, let's say they have 3 power symbols. The odds of them getting back to power symbols is like 1 in 216, roughly, on 3 dice to hit that 1 out of 6 again. So most of the time, they might get 1 of them back on power symbol, kind of a situation, but it's not super likely. So, and you can reroll up to, and then you get to choose your basic. So I think in my mind, she can put pressure on their cards. So you might naturally want to think longer term with her. It might be mill, which I'm not exactly excited about. So I'm going to see if I can build a non-mill Victoria deck that's decent. Chris saying that her precon is apparently weak, which could shape people's opinion on it. Of course, I also think Ashes Reborn is so new that it's easy to take common opinion as fact when it just hasn't really been explored yet, which is part of why I like breaking it down like this and exploring characters people don't like. Chris saying he thinks that Chaos Theory did a video had the right idea. Play stuff that can take advantage of bad rolls or pack dice fixing so it doesn't hit you as hard as your opponent. Just given the fact that I'm already on, I'm going to get these dice out to start kind of marking what magic types I'm going. But let's flatten these down. So just based on her ability, I'm going to guess we at least want 3 illusions. Same with Jericho. She's going to want a certain amount of time dice. I can't see it being less than 3. Can you guys see that? Nope. Let's go up a little bit. I'm going to have my short stack of Phoenixborn. So just so we're aware, Symboli Jessa and Cole are on my short list of characters to look at moving forward. But Victoria, I'm probably going to want at least 3 illusion, and Jericho at least 3 time. And I'll have Aradel on the short stack as well. We'll focus in on 2 specifically right now. So the wolf ability is to turn 2 of your opponent's die sides down, right? And that's part of what's kind of interesting about Victoria is for a die and not a side action, this would turn 2 dice down 100% of the time. So spinning a mask to maybe turn them down, not as useful. But my thing is like, if I have a couple, whatever my dice are, let's just say it's these, and I hit this, that's a really phenomenal thing. It's like if I get a chance at knocking 4 of your power dice down, and I get to reroll all of these, that is pretty valuable, right? It's a double action. It's kind of a medium meditate for me, and it's an anti-die situation for you. Justin says Mills for the Stevens of the world. He has made a mill deck. I don't think mill is his thing necessarily, but in Ashes it does feel a lot better because of the way they built it. Let's see. Chris saying Mill's not an auto lose in this game, which is what he loves about it. I agree. So I'm just going to have these characters in mind as I'm going through all the cards. And this is my normal process. And so I know anything with the time symbol, I'm immediately going to at least consider with Jericho. Same with anything with the illusion symbol with Victoria. But I also have to find the magic types to pair these characters with. Now, these 3 Phoenixborn who I've already built for, just so I can, explore different magic types, I want to see what pairings I have up here. So I have nature, ceremonial, and I think some of these have, 3 colors. So let me confirm real quick. Ceremonial, nature, all right. That's those 2. Brennan. My Odette deck is divine, ceremonial. So I'm going to probably stay away from ceremonial. I have a lot of decks of ceremonial. Or maybe I'll just be the ceremonial character. Nature, time, and heart. Charm. So these are my current mixes. So ideally, obviously I don't have any illusions, so I'm getting those in the fold. And I have 3, 4, 5, or 7 types, right? What am I missing? Sympathy. So I need to play sympathy at some point. Sympathy could be good with Victoria, but I'm going to guess I'm actually going to play sympathy with... I don't know, actually. We'll see. So I'm going to start with the conjurations. Let's just where I like to start. So noting Jericho's ability, search your draw pile for a card, set it aside, shuffle your draw pile, then place a set-aside card on top of it. So in my mind, Jericho can easily run like 5 or 8 one-ofs that are pretty powerful, and they're very specific situational answers because she knows she can go get them. It does make me interested in the sympathy die for her because the sympathy power action is literally draw a card or a capacity to draw a card. Yeah, Chris saying you fetch the answer you need. So she can run extra copies of spells to focus them. When you have that opportunity, she can run AoE damage or exhaustion removal when needed. She can kind of do it all. All right, let's just start looking. In fact, yeah, I think conjurations is a good place to start. So summon Indigo Creeper is a nature and a sympathy. I don't necessarily think that's going to be where we go, although it's a very status token heavy thing. So if I am running the time dice, that's definitely not bad. So let's take a look at it. Indigo Creeper. Germinate when it's destroyed. Place a Luminous Seedling conjuration onto your battlefield. Destroy this unit at the end of the round. Then Luminous Seedling comes out. Action, remove 2 status tokens from this unit and destroy it. If you do, place up to 2 Brilliant Thorn conjurations on your battlefield. Growth, add 1 to this unit's life value for each status token on it. So it's got 2 life. Once you get 2 status tokens, it would have 4. But then you could take an action, destroy it, and get 2 Brilliant Thorns, of which you can have 6 of in play. Inheritance, when this unit is destroyed, you may place a status token on a target unit. Fade, destroy this at the end of the round. So it definitely wants to be focused. I feel like to play this, you're also going to need some way to definitely destroy that Indigo Creeper, which is not unthinkable. So we'll put that in my Jericho stack. Summon 3-Eyed Owl. Charm. Place a 3-Eyed Owl conjuration on your battlefield. Let's look at the 3-Eyed Owl. Choose a target player to discard a card of their choice from their hand. So I'm gonna have to choose pretty quickly if I'm going mill with Victoria. For now, I'm gonna assume I'm not. I'm gonna skip that. Look here. What is this? Summon Shadow Spirit. So I'm gonna look at all the illusion cards because I normally don't spend much time with them. Some action to play, action to use. 1, a wolf. Place a Shadow Spirit conjuration on your battlefield. Shadow Spirit, when it declares an attacker, lower a die in a target opponent's active pool 1 level. So that's not an awful thing to do with Victoria's ability, specifically, because if you re-roll and they do get a power side, then you could potentially attack with a Shadow Spirit and lower the die back if you really want to keep them off. So I'll put that in her short stack. Summon Shadowhound. I remember this thing kept messing me up against Steven. Cost 3, that's a lot. If it's focused, you can deal damage to a target unit. If it's focused twice, you can deal damage to a target unit. So that's probably why it costs so much. It's assuming you're going to be focused, but let's see what it does. The Shadowhound. 3 attack, 1 life. Cannot be guarded, so you can't protect units against this thing. And then it cannot be targeted by attack spells, abilities, or dice powers an opponent controls. That's a pretty powerful ability. We'll put that in the stack because it's the right magic type. I'm skipping Ceremonial. I don't think I'm going to play it. I have 2 decks with Ceremonial so far. Summon Butterfly Monk. 1 frog. The Butterfly Monk itself can guard. When it's destroyed, you may remove a wound token from a Phoenixborn. Interesting. Don't know that is 100% fit into anything here, but we'll see. Summon Admonisher. So Divine could be an option. Place an Admonisher on your battlefield. Focus if you cannot deal a damage to a target Phoenixborn. Interesting. Admonisher at the end of each round, deal a damage to a target Phoenixborn. Oh, wow. Divine with auto damage? So if it just sticks around, your opponent's taking damage. That's pretty cool. Summon Biter. This is nature. I have a feeling that I might end up on nature with Jericho because a lot of their stuff wants status tokens. But it costs 1 leaf and 1 basic. The Biter itself has unit guard. Rooted, it cannot attack, but it's a good little blocker. So not necessarily doing anything wild. Summon a Weeping Spirit, Charm. It's just something that takes up space on your opponent's battlefield and they have to lose cards to do it. So again, if you're going down the mill pathway. Summon Mist Spirit. You can spend additional to get an extra Mist Spirit. So it's at least illusion. It's worth putting them in the stack. There's generic units. Someone's saying Admonisher would be good. Could be good with the focus ability. Basically, the ability to go get it with Jericho. Blink on Admonisher isn't really lighting my world on fire because it's at the end of the round, not the end of the turn. So yeah, you can make them leave play, but it protects them for 1 turn. Justin saying Weeping Spirit. So the Summon Weeping Spirit focus 1 is you can search your deck, search the target discard pile for a card and remove it from the game. Yeah, I'm not necessarily feeling that. All right, Mirror Spirit. This is the old sympathy play. Focus, you can remove all status tokens from a Mirror Spirit you control. If you do remove at least 1 status token, place an exhaustion token on a target unit. The Mirror Spirit itself. X attack, 2 life, 0. When it comes into play, place a status token on this unit for each exhaustion token on a unit. I could see that. That's a maybe for me. Summon Ice Golem. I don't think that's this deck. Summon Mind Fog Owl. That's an interesting unit, the Mind Fog Owl. Majestic Titan. That requires sympathy and charm. Majestic Titan itself, gigantic. Interesting. Majestic Titan can really go for it. John saying, is there OP support for Ashes? Last we heard, Plat Hat is working on organized play support, but nothing public, I don't think, yet. Summon Ancestor Spirit. You gotta love the Ancestors. So the Ancestor Spirit's interesting with Jericho because when it comes into play, you can draw a card. If you do, place a card from your hand at the bottom of your draw pile. So that is actually a really interesting way, with Blink particularly. Both just summoning it to get the card, and then if it's already in play, you can blink it away if it's focused to get a fresh unit back in and draw a card. So that's definitely interesting for me. Ooh, I've been looking for a place for this, and it's probably going to be my Victoria deck, if anything. But summon Ghostly Mount. It's an action or side action. Exhaust, mask, plus music note. Remove an unexhausted ally you control from play. If you do, place a Pale Steed Mount or Spectral Charger Mount conjuration on your battlefield. Place that ally face down on the unit. Focus 2. You may place a Nightmare Mount instead. So this thing is so cool because it comes with 3 different mounts. Pale Steed Mount. Unit guard. May guard a unit that's being attacked. Dismount when this unit is destroyed. Place any allies you own underneath this unit into your hand. The Spectral Charger Mount. Quick Strike. So when it's attacking, it deals its damage first. It's a 4 attack. It's awesome. When it's destroyed, allies, of course. Nightmare Mount is a 4/4 with Terrifying 1. Cannot be blocked or guarded by units with an attack value of 1 or less. Dismount, of course. So I'm always looking for a way to play this. And actually, at this point, it could potentially go into either deck. Interesting. I'm just going to put that over here because that's like high on my list. High on my list. Justin, that's a good point. If their board is full, you can blink away one of their units and then put a Weeping Spirit into play. But what happens when your board is full and something would interplay? Especially if you're not choosing for that to happen. I'm curious what the answer on that is. Summon Squall Stallion. Also draws a card. Place a Squall Stallion on your battlefield. Lightning Speed. This unit, the Squall Stallion, cannot be targeted by reaction spells. Torrent 1. Place a card from your hand on the top or bottom of your deck. If you do, place a status token on Squall Stallion. X is the number of status tokens on this unit. So this is actually interesting as well. Status tokens, again, being able to be manipulated with the time dice. So that is that's definitely of interest to me. It also draws a card, so I like that with Jericho for sure. Like I can imagine turn 1, be able to search your draw pile, put a card on top at some point, and then summon a unit that also lets you draw a card to get that card. It's good. It's good, my friends. Justin says, I would say discard the card, but we should ask Nick. Yeah, I don't know the actual answer. Summon Nightshade's Follow. I don't think I'm in that category right now. I guess I might be Charmin with Victoria. Summon Orchid Dove, the birds. I just have such bird nightmares. Frostback Bear. All right, made it through the conjuration, so that's interesting. Tyler says it's pretty mean to Blood Puppet or Weeping Spirit and blink. I could see either of those. It is very mean. I don't know that that's the mean that I'm aiming for at this very particular moment, but it is a very good combo. Oxford saying the card is discarded. That's crazy. That is crazy. Okay, so I've gone through conjurations. I made a small stack, and I've already pretty much outlined my magic types, which is cool. And I might end up having a splash type. And I don't know if I'm even going to end up playing this Indigo Creeper, but I am literally down to maybe these 3 types here. Mask, mask, mask. And I have not made any secondary declarations here, which means that it's just kind of wide open for me at this point. So now I'm going to go through the allies, and I'm going to repeat the same process. I do think that these are the magic types I'm going to end up playing for Jericho, which means once I set my magic type here, these cards, a lot less cards are even worth considering. So we'll carry on, and as we go through, it'll just get tighter and tighter, which is cool. Jungle Warrior. Last orders, once he is destroyed, you may spend a basic to remove an exhaustion from a unit. And when it's destroyed, you can place a status token on a target unit. That's potentially very good for Jericho. Like it. I'm not planning on doing Divine or Ceremonial, so I'm literally just going to skip those cards. Shadow Guard. Ooh, Steven's been playing this, and it's great. I do love that ally. Don't mind if I do. Put this over here. Temple Elder. When this unit comes into play, place a status token on this unit. At the beginning of the player turn phase, place a status token on this unit. Remove a token from this unit. Spend a music note if you do draw a card. So it still costs you a music note to draw a card? I'm not crazy about that. Raptor Herder. Gotta love it. Music note or nature, so it could fit into either deck. When it comes into play, place a Raptor hatchling onto your battlefield. So this is, again, synergy with Jericho. Not that I'm necessarily... There's only 3 blinks in the deck, right? So I don't want to bank on blink too much. And when you do blink, you want it to be good. But the idea of playing a Raptor Herder, getting a Raptor hatchling, which is a 0/1/2, has group tactics. After you play 3 or more attackers, you can add 2. And I have a battlefield of 7 with Jericho. So you play it, you get a hatchling, then you can later blink. Herder leaves play, comes back in, gets another hatchling. It's at least interesting. No, yeah, Steven is out today. Beast Warrior. After you clear 3 or more attackers, you can add 1 of this unit's attack for the remainder of the turn. Well, you do not... so the beast gets better on the off turns. I'm going to at least put it on the top of the stack because it's playable, but I'm not putting it down yet. String Mage. So it can move wounds or status tokens from units to unit. That's definitely also interesting. Beast Mage gets better when it's blocking again. I'll put it on the top. Flute Mage. That card's good. So I do like anything that can exhaust to do something because I could potentially blink it away. Flash Archer. Interesting. That's a big attacker. That's a big cost, though. I'm still going to put it down. Having threatening allies is my kind of party. Now, Sleeping Bear is the anti of what I want right now, which is it comes into play with an exhaustion, so I would not want to blink it at all. Rose Fire Dancer. Exhaust, place an exhaustion token on a target unit. I do like that. So let's just go ahead and put that in the stack. A lot of really good allies. This is Illusion, actually, which is not what I'm playing at all. So these need to go up here. Turns out I can't do it all in one single deck. Essence Druid has, this art is crazy, but it's Sympathy Charm, which is not a combo I play often. When it comes into play, you can search your discard pile for a ready spell and place it in your hand. While it's in battle, the attack value of units in battle with it is reduced by 2. Wow. That's crazy. So it's Sympathy and Charm. I'm going to also put that in my short stack of, I want to make a deck that makes this work at some point. And again, I'm just kind of skipping through anything that requires ceremonial or divine. Battleseer, a wolf and a sympathy. While it's attacking, it deals damage first. It's 3/4/2, which is amazing. Don't place exhaustion tokens as a result of its countering, so it's also good at blocking. That potentially could end up working in the illusion stack. Hollow. That works in either deck. So I fortunately have 2 copies of that, 6 copies, so I can put it in both stacks. So this is another great example. So Pain Shaman is nature, which I'm already looking at playing. Exchange Pain. When this unit comes into play, you may deal a damage to a target unit and then remove a wound from a wound token from a target Phoenixborn. So you can basically play it, use it, blink it, and when it comes back into play, you're going to deal damage to a unit and remove a wound from your Phoenixborn. So that's pretty good value. Now, question of, again, I only have so many blinks, so I have to be careful. I'll probably end up picking a couple things that naturally work with blink. Celestial Knight. Oh my goodness, this card is awesome. How cool does that look? I'm going to skip over that because it's got divine in it. Not today. I'm going to have to decide if I'm going Charm with Victoria RNA. I'm at least going to start a second stack. Imperial Ninja. So Imperial Ninja, when it is declared as an attacker, look at a random card in your opponent's hand. That player may either discard 2 cards off the top of their deck, or if they discard fewer than 2, they must discard the looked at card. So I could end up seeing a like mid-range melee situation with Victoria. Huntmaster, that could fit down here. When it comes into play, place 2 status tokens on this unit and place a Panther Spirit conjuration on your battlefield. Side action, remove a status token from this unit to add 1 of the attack value of the target unit you control for the remainder of the turn. So this is a great example. I need to find the Panther Spirit of that's a potentially very useful character to blink, because you get the unit, you get 2 instances of +1 and a Panther, and then it can come back into play. That is the kind of value we're after on blink. Polarity Mage can be played with Sympathy. Once the unit comes into place, you may search your discard pile for an alteration spell and place it into your hand, or discard a target alteration spell. No, not my thing. River Scald. When this unit comes into play, draw a card. You may discard a card from your hand to deal X damage to a target unit. X is a magic cost. That's got to go in the stack. So I haven't found the key card yet that makes me think this is the lane I'm going with Victoria. But Jericho is really coming together. Scotty says, I just got interested in this game yesterday. Chat, where's the best place to learn besides YouTube videos? Don't know. The YouTube videos are a good start. Ashes.live is a good deck builder for the game. Beast Tamer. I think there's a lot of ways not to lose with Victoria, so we'll see if that's where I end up going. Stormwind Sniper. It's got ceremonial, so I'm not going to do it. But he does have, when it comes into play, you can deal damage to a Phoenixborn effect. I don't think that's good enough to blink, but it's not awful. Anchor Knot. When it comes to play, deal damage to a unit. I don't think that's necessarily lighting it up. Enchanted Violinist. Let's just put that in the Victoria pile. I have a weird feeling I'm going to be going mill over there. Okay. All right. So I've gone through conjurations and allies. I'm going to look at what's next. We'll go ready spells, and we'll see how we're feeling. But I'm starting to think charm illusion is where I'm going to go with Victoria. All right, Frostbite. I love that card. I don't think it's fitting into either of these decks, but it is a great card. Shifting Mist. Side action, change 2 dice in your active pool to a side of your choice. It's interesting. I'll at least put it on the top of the stack so I can revisit it later if I want it. Magic Siphon. Change a die in your pool to a side of your choice. Change a die in target player's active pool to a side of your choice. You know, how many side actions do I want to deal with that? I'll at least put it on the top of the stack, but it's not exactly lighting me up for Victoria or Jericho. Justin says it's worth the money. I watched one video from Watch It Played and TC and bought the core and then some expansions. I have never regretted it. Jason says I subscribed at the beginning of April. Did I miss out on getting the upgrade kit? If you don't have the upgrade kit, or if you go to your account on the back end and it's not showing you've been charged for it or it's shipped, then yes, you missed out on it. But we do have a wait list on the website for that product. We're expecting a restock like today or tomorrow. So we should have that in stock for you to order. Tyler says Essence Druid and Majestic Titan and Blink also good with Scald. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I have some working concepts going on the table, and we'll see what ends up formulating because like I'm basically getting down to all the cards I might move together, and then I'll start actually forming decks. And then sometimes you go back through at that point knowing your magic types, and you hone in and find some very specific combo pieces. Memory Theft. Look at the player's hand. That player may discard a card of your choice from the hand if they do not or cannot place a wound on their Phoenixborn. That's just a 1 die action every time. Interesting. It's going to go in my Vic pile. Purge. Okay. I see where this is going. Changing Winds. Wow. That's a fascinating card for Jericho. Resonance can go on the top of this stack at least. It's interesting. Abundance. All players may draw up to 2 cards. For each card they cannot draw or do not draw, deal damage. Interesting. Memorialize. Interesting. Dark Presence. That's a creepy looking card. Interesting. I'm at least going to put Memorialize and Dark Presence on top. Seem very playable. Man, Augury is also really fascinating because you could really run some focus spells and I don't know if you need it with Jericho's ability, but I'm at least putting it in the stack. You gotta love Royal Charm if you're going Charm at all. Join the hunt. I don't think that's this deck. Guilt Link. After one or more wounds are placed on your Phoenixborn as a result of a unit's attack, place a status token on this spell. Remove a status token from the spell to destroy a unit you control. If you do, choose a target player to destroy a unit they control. Body Inversion. That's a card I have nightmares about. Secret Door. It's got Vic on it. Choose a target unit you control with a life value of 1. It cannot be blocked for the remainder of the turn. Rosefire Dancer and Shadow Guard. Interesting. We'll put Secret Door in. I like, there's some weird stuff brewing over there, which I'm excited about. Just like having these like Secret Door might be the card. That might end up being the card that gets me. What up, Mr. Erganiel, saying, holy, I caught a live stream. I was afraid to be in the middle of the night here in Sweden. Welcome. If you have any questions, hit me up. Resummon not working here. Okay. So we're starting to get somewhere. It's pretty cool too to me. Like once it starts coalescing at the end, it's been amazing. I was very intimidated by the deck building process for this for a long time, but just going through the cards with a couple of Phoenixborn in mind, weeding down to some stuff and getting some concepts going. You just gotta start taking steps, honestly. Call to action is not bad. You can exhaust a unit after your opponent declares attacker, so that's fun. If I am going Charm, I'm looking at it. Ice Trap, probably not here. Shatter Pulse. You may play a spell after a unit you control is destroyed. Destroy a target unit. You may change 2 dice in a player's active pool. Maybe. I'll move it up to the top of my stack. That could end up being a Jericho tool. Crescendo. After I declare attackers, you can play it. Music note in a discard. Deal a damage to a target unit you control. To deal 3 to a target unit. That's a good card. Figures in the Fog. You may play a spell after an opponent declares attackers. Choose a target attacking unit and place an exhaustion on it. It is no longer attacking. Oh, that's awesome. Particle Shield. Play a spell after a unit you control is dealt damage. Prevent 1 damage from being received and draw a card. Prevent 1 is tough. That's really specific. So I'm gonna put it on the top of the stack, and that's what I do. I have a stack of like these are reactions. Anything I might use I put here, but anything I really want to goes down on the table. Chris says Secret Door makes my combo wombo heart happy. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. It's also hilarious art. Here's a little familiar there. Vanish. It's a wolf. Play a spell after an opponent targets you or if your Phoenixborn with a spell ability or dice power. Cancel its effect and the remaining effects of that spell ability. Targets you or your Phoenixborn. I assume that doesn't apply to your units, right? Vanish is kind of a very specific tool. Tyler says it's like Golden Veil for you. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about what targets me. There's like direct damage stuff that targets your Phoenixborn, but like it's not like typically game bending. It's when they mess with your units, like you're blocking a big attack or something. Marissa says, I always feel like I have a hard time deciding between a fewer different cards. A couple real strong combos or more options in tech, but a lot more one-ofs. I do think it's a game that having a handful of one-ofs is a good thing. All right, we'll carry on. Remorse. Play after an opponent declares attackers, they must discard 2 cards off the top of the draw pile. Then if the draw pile is empty, deal 2 damage to their Phoenixborn. All right, that fits into the theme. Shadow Strike. So you hit a unit that's not attacking after they attack. That's interesting. I don't know that it happens, but it's interesting. Summon Sleeping Widows. Can't play that. Close Combat. That could end up going in Jericho, so I'll move it to the top of the stack for now. Golden Veil. You love to see it. Strange Copy. This could go either direction. I do feel like it fits in the theme of Victoria, so we'll at least put it here. Sympathy Pain. I love Sympathy Pain. Final Cry, not playing that. Redirect. Maybe. Okay, and then we're down to the action spells. So let's see what we comb through and get. There weren't a lot of reactions that I was grabbing for Jericho, which is interesting. I wonder, does she have some good reactions here? Yeah, she does. In her stack, at least one. Interesting. Joe says, Zach, after seeing you upgrade your upgrade kit stream from a few weeks ago, I'm glad to see you enjoy going through cards again. Yeah, that was stressful. So let me just go through these reactions again, because I'm on music notes, and I guess there's not that many time reactions is why. Shatter Pulse is probably good for this scenario with Jericho. Liam says, Zach, do you know anyone in the UK that has received their upgrade pack? Still waiting on mine. Not specifically, but I would be surprised if people haven't started getting them. Dreadnought says, funny enough, previous Ashes Reborn streams is now a kid content claimed, so there's no way to write comments here or watch it in the mini mobile mode. What's mini mobile mode? And what is kid content claimed? Sympathy Pain's not bad. Okay. Let's go back to the actions. All right. Always love Meteor. To Shadows. Ooh. 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 That's going to go in both of these decks. Absolutely. Liam says, thanks, I'll carry on sitting by the front door. Hopefully it shows up soon. Jeff says, it just means we can't comment on that video. Huh. That's weird. I'll have to pass a note along. I don't fully know what it means, but it makes me nervous. How do we feel about Hidden Power? Mist Typhoon. That's a great card. we could end up on a little bit of nature with Vic. Nature's so good. Wow, Chain Psyche is pretty crazy. Very flexible. Summon Shining Hydra. I will eventually build a deck with that in it as well. Seeds of Aggression is a card I can play in either deck. Choose a target unit you control and a target unit opponent controls, so those units deal damage to each other equal to their attack value. Could be good. It'll go in the short stack. Neil is Charm and Divine. Not going to work in this deck, but man, do I love that. Out of the Mist. Nature and Illusion. Deal X amount of damage to a target unit. You may draw a card. X is the number of units you have in play. It's at least interesting. Dispel. Remove 2 status tokens from a target card or choose a target alteration spell. If that alteration spell is a conjure, otherwise shuffle it. Not what I'm into here. Freezing Blast is intense. Open Memories. Always good. Shared Sorrow. Sympathy and a basic. More card search, which is not necessarily what I want. Mind Probe. Looks like it's got Vic on it. Choose a target opponent to reveal the top 5 cards of the draw pile. Choose one and remove it from the game. Return the rest to the top of the draw pile in the order of your choice. So you play a card, you lose a card, but you get to filter their deck and get rid of something. Which is, you know, good from both mill and just not getting dunked on. Seal. Choose a ready spell on target player's spell. Replace an exhaustion token on the spell and on each other copy of the chosen spell. Wow. That's aggressive. I like that. Transfer is not bad either. Now we're getting to some good stuff for these decks, particularly Victoria. Ooh, Steady Gaze. Jeez, the hits just keep coming. Refresh. I don't know if I have a unit that needs that, but we're going to put it over there anyway. Return to soil, deal damage to a unit. If that destroys a unit, after it's destroyed, the target player who controlled it must discard a card off the top of their pile. I think that's a good card. Especially because you like side action with a frog for a damage, then you play this, do a second damage, get rid of a 2 health unit, and get rid of a card. Yeah, it's good value. Summon Spectral Assassin. So you bounce an ally back, and then you get a Spectral Assassin, and you draw a card. And the Spectral Assassin is a 2/1/0. When it's declared as an attacker, opponents may not play reactions. Wow, Gates Thrown Open is pretty crazy. It's a crazy looking card too. I'm just making a stack now. Adrenaline Rush. All right. Deal damage, remove an exhaustion. So this is actually like maybe weirdly good out of Jericho. Deal damage to a unit to unexhausted is always potentially a good exchange. But more importantly, the damage matters less with Blink. I know I keep saying Blink. Turns out this is a Blink deck, not a Jericho deck. Transmute Magic. Swap any number of dice in your exhausted pool with any number of dice in your active pool and place them each on a side of your choice. Change a die in each target player's active pool to a side of your choice. That's a powerful card. That's an interesting card. We're going to put that in the very interesting stack. Okay, so Mr. Aragonile, I have this ghostly mount here. One, I've just always wanted to play it. But to play it, I'm going to have to play Illusion, which, I mean, I got a lot of Illusion cards out, but I wasn't thinking about Illusion here, which I could do. And I think it's either Illusion or Nature. So we will see what I end up doing. So now I have these stacks, and it is looking really messy, but it's really not that bad. So I'm going to put Essence Druid back, even though I really want to play it. I think I'm definitely on Time Sympathy. And then I can do one other thing. I think the Spectral Charger, or the Spectral Horses, are really good because they let me pull allies back and play them again, which get their come into play effects. So I do really like that. And then Blink, of course, just working in concert with that. So let me see what the most valuable stuff is when they come and leave play. So Jungle Warriors when it's destroyed specifically. Not as keen on that anymore. Raptor Herder is pretty good value. Because you get 2 units for the cost of a die. And then if you do, you know, Ghostly Mount it, then you can keep that cycle going. So I do like Raptor Herder a lot. Huntmaster requires Nature. But it does get you a Panther Spirit and 2+1s. So I think I'm going to have 2 stacks here, which is basically my Nature or my Illusion, which you can't see at all. So let's move all this so we can start seeing it. Okay, so I basically have my Sympathy / Illusion or Nature, and I also have the Time Dice going. Ty says Blink, remove a target unit from the game. At the end of the turn, place that unit onto the battlefield. So if I blink the mount, what happens to the ally? Does the ally bounce back to my hand? Because that's amazing, if true. And then I have the Nature's Path that I'm going to form over here. Now, technically, Raptor Herder can be played with a Nature die, but it can also be played with a Music Note. So it kind of fits into my deck either way. So I'm going to do generically good here. River Scald, also generic. When it comes into play, draw a card. If you may discard a card from your hand to deal X damage. X is the magic type, so that's just generically good. Pain Shaman, specifically Nature. Hollow can be played either way, but is benefited by Illusion. So we're seeing this Raptor Herder basically letting me... there's some like synergy. It's not required that I play that type, but it's helpful because it gives me options. Then we have Flute Mage, which is really just generic exhaustion. So it's not really even fitting super hard into the theme of the deck. Let's see. Adrenaline Rush is just generic. Augury is generically good. If I'm running a lot of one-ofs, that's a great way to get them. Side action, go get it. Changing Winds. It's a great card. Levati saying the dismount effect says when the unit is destroyed, so not if it's blinked. So if a mounted unit is blinked, do we know what happens? Now, Huntmaster is obviously nature. Michael says, I think nothing. When it leaves play, though, I assume the attached ally doesn't necessarily just travel with it. Kind of like the tokens on it wouldn't either. I do like Summon Squall Stallion. Blink says, remove a target unit from the game. At the end of this turn, place that unit into its owner's battlefield. Let's see, Ancestor Spirit. I like Squall Stallion and Ancestor Spirit quite a bit. The Indigo Creeper line is also in the nature stack. So I'm gonna explore the illusion stack for a minute because I have a couple decks with nature in it already, and Vic's also potentially looking at nature. So I'm gonna set these to the side. And I really like the Ghostly Mount reality, just making that a thing. So these are the types. Now I'm gonna look back through the Jericho cards real quick and just see what we got going on here. Reaction spell outmatch. You may play a spell after an opponent declares attackers, add 4 to the attack value of a target unit. So that's not necessarily light my world on fire. My spell board's only 3 with Jericho. So I gotta be very careful. If I have Summon Ghostly Mount, I only get 2 other slots. So Foresight is not probably making the cut here. Swift Messenger is really interesting. If I blink my opponent's unit, then I know they're going to have something come into play, and I can play this going into their turn to draw a card. But, you know, how good that is, I don't know. Accelerate. So it's a die for a card and 2 dice and then side actions. Don't know if that ends up happening. Standard Bearer. Does have a come into play effect, but it builds, so you don't necessarily want to move it around. Yeah, I think the Squall Stallion is pretty much in. Because it lets me draw a card when I summon it. And can't be targeted by reactions, which is good. But then it's got that Torrent, which plays card from your hand on the bottom or top of your draw pile. If you do, put a status, it gets stronger. And so tools that I don't need right now, I can put down, and then I can go get them later. So I think that makes a lot of sense. But then I literally have 1 spellboard slot left. And I like Ancestor Spirit, but I'm not sold yet. I love the idea of being able to focus up that Summon Ghostly Mount and get all 3 of those horses out. And the Summon Ghostly Mount is an action or side action. So you can summon 2 at a time. That's pretty crazy. I like that a lot. Levati says resonance for the mount since you need sympathy for the mounts themselves anyway. So why resonance? I do want Focus Nightmare Mount, but with Jericho's ability, it's I'm going to be able to have that by turn 2 without playing Resonance at all. I'll just have 3 of that spell actually out. Turn 1, you have 1 in your opening hand. You use a time die to go get another copy. Then you summon a Squall Stallion to draw it. You play Ghostly Mount. Turn 2, you either draw into it or use Jericho's ability again. So I like that a lot. Now, technically, Squall Stallion could easily be not a Mirror Spirit. I don't think Mirror Spirit's making the cut. All right, let's hone in here. Blink's definitely happening. Now, there was a card in, I think, Maoni. I have the Time Hoppers, which are, I don't think, going to make it into this deck, which is fine. But I have one of the reactions, Flash Strike. You can play a spell after an opponent has the choice to declare blockers or guard. Choose the unit you control with 1 or more status tokens. For the remainder of the turn, add 2 to its attack value and it gains the following. It strikes first. So my Squall Stallions, I do believe, have status tokens. Yeah. So I like that. Like, Surprise Quick Strike is really good. Levati says, Dark Presence is really nice with the Nightmare Mount because it can become terrifying too and reduce the single enemy defender with 3 attack to 2 and swing freely. What did you say? Dark Presence? Did I have that? I think I had that in a short stack somewhere. What kind of card is Dark Presence? I'm willing to take a look for sure. Given my magic types, I do think that To Shadows makes it in. Discard a target exhausted unit. It's a side action, and it's a wolf or a turtle, which I have both in the deck. Ready spell. Yeah, I have 1 more ready spell spot, so it's got to be good. Dark Presence. Yeah, I did have this in my short stack. Choose a target unit you control to gain the following. Terrifying 1. If it's focused, yeah, that's a very interesting spell for this situation. That might end up being exactly what I do. Because I just need 2 copies of it for that to be the case. All right, let's see. Start forming up. Let's see how healthy these mounts are. 2, 4, 4. Okay, so they are very healthy. I like Adrenaline Rush. How healthy are the regular stallions? 3? Yeah. Especially, you know, if I get a lot of damage, I can hopefully make them leave play and come back. Flute Mage could be good. It's generically good. Hollow is also generically good. Raptor Herder. I don't know if he's bringing enough heat. River Scald. Interesting. So I know I'm on 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We're halfway into a deck. Let me think. Okay. So it's kind of interesting because I'm on very little time magic. I basically need it for her ability. Status tokens are fine, but I think I need something else popping. Especially if it was something I was doing every turn. Is Turtle Guard good enough? Maybe. So it might be Turtle Guard. Not that turtles fit with horses necessarily. All right, so now I'm gonna look back. Now I have a greater context, but I'm down to 3 magic types. So let's see what we come up with. It goes super quick at this point because there's so many cards that I can't play anymore. Lavati says, since stallions want status tokens, you could run bunnies. The thing I like about bunnies, that's a good point, is the time hopper. So I have a 7 battlefield. That's not a bad idea. Lavati says you do love the bunnies. It's also a fast bunch of runners. So let's temporarily do that. So it will let me place a status token, but the concern I have with that is I don't know that it's doing enough because they don't do anything when they come into play to get a status token. I'm just not sure. It feels close. I'm not there yet. All right, let's just look. I do really like the River Scald, Flute Mage, Hollow, because my mounts are also, I need a lot of allies to field the mounts, right? And they're going to have a play effect, go use them. They're going to come back into hand when those mounts go away. But I also need to make sure that my mounts don't get focused down, right? So I have to have a way to destroy, I think I have to have a way to destroy my own units. That's something I got to look at. So I'm going to look at my... I like the idea of Dark Presence. So I'm going to temporarily slot that into my other spellboard slot. 3 is a tiny spellboard. You can't see these things. So I'm gonna move all this up. I realize I'm working in an area you can't exactly appreciate. So spellboard on the top row, and then good cards here, and then put the allies over here. So I've currently got River Scald, Flute Mage, and Hollow. And I may end up putting in, let's go back to the ally track. The Anchornauts. You guys were convincing me earlier. Because it's a basic symbol. It's cheap. Thomas asking, do dice types restrict the card selection? So if you look at a card like Imperial Ninja, on the top right, it's got like a gem looking icon. That's action. It's the main action. You get 1 action a turn. Then the 2 next to the hearts, you'll see that heart on this charm die here. And so you get 10 dice. Those are your resources. So that does dictate the kind of cards you'll put in your deck. What is this? Oh, those are alterations. That got stacked weird. There he is. So I need a good number of allies. I got to have that cycle going. Otherwise, I can't summon my ghostly mounts. So I think this is a solid pool. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm actually almost to a full deck. Not that I'm going to run all of these allies. Again, I have the ability to fish out the cards I want. So whatever solution I need to get, I can. Thomas, that's awesome. Saying, got the master set and sub for this week game a week or 2 ago, but haven't gotten a chance to play with anyone yet. We're working to fix that. Stay tuned. We have some cool stuff that I'm excited about. Shattered Pulse. I was saying earlier, I need a way to destroy units in case my mounts get locked down. I need to get them off the table. So Shattered Pulse is after a unit is destroyed of mine, I can destroy a target unit, even my own, and then change 2 dice. So that's a maybe. These are all kind of going by the wayside. Are there any cards that destroy my own units out of these magic types? I'm going to look over here because I have Illusion Stack for Victoria. To Shadows. That's the card. It's already here. So I can discard a target exhausted unit. Although, if I discard a mount, what happens to the attached ally? Tyler's saying Guilt Link. What kind of card is Guilt Link? Guilt Link is a ready spell. So let's just take a look. I was looking for that thing. Guilt Link. After 1 or more wounds are placed on it, your Phoenixborn as a result of an attack, place status token here. Remove a status token to destroy a unit you control. If you do, choose a target player to destroy a unit they control. That's interesting. Fade away is illusion, but it's not till the end of the round. Now, if they discard, though, do you get the ally back? I do think Guilt Link can be important here because being able to play an ally, play a mount, use the mount, get rid of the mount, play the ally again to set up into the next round is a cycle I want to do. Levati says, to Shadow says discard. Okay, that's what I thought. So I need to specifically destroy. So I think Guilt Link almost has to go in. As much as I like Dark Presence. Now, I could run a 1-up Dark Presence. I guess you want it to be focused. So Dark Presence probably ends up not making it, but we'll see. I just feel like Guild Link, because I have sort of the fuel, it's like play an Acronaut, or an Anchornaut, Ghostly mount it, mount comes into play, use the mount, destroy the mount, get the Anchornaut back, play the Anchornaut. Even if I have a second copy of Guild Link out, I can get rid of the Anchornaut again and just destroy tons of their units. It's really interesting. So I'm currently at too many cards, but I feel like is this enough? So let's look at my first 5 real quick. So Summon Squall Stallion is definitely a one of those. And I don't know how many of those I actually want in my deck. It might just be a 1. I can only get 2 Summon Squall or 2 Squall Stallions out anyway. So maybe 2. Ghostly Mount is definitely my first 5, and I'm definitely running 2 extra copies of that. Guild Link is definitely at least 1, and that's opening hand stuff. I'm going to slide these up so you can see my opening hand. And it's Music Note, a Mask, and a Music Note. A Music Note to play, a Music Note to use. A time die here. This costs a basic to use. And if I get another copy, it's a basic to play. And then I technically have 2 left. 2 dice left. So I want 2 things that cost me 1. To use this mount thing, I have to play something. So let's say it's 1 here. And then technically, I could also play a hollow. There. One, two, three, four, 5. Jericho's ability, doing it. Yeah, that's true. Levati saying, since you can recycle allies, you don't necessarily need many. The mount is the main or side, so you can always play an ally and side action to put, give it a mount, which is fair because that reduces how many allies you need at a given time. It's like playing 3D chess. Let's do this. I'm going to run 2 copies of each of these because I'm crazy like that. But outside my first 5, that makes these nice clean stacks of 3. I know I've got a backup option in case one does get destroyed. So I'm at 3, 6, 5, 11. 22. Do I run a second copy of Guild Link? I feel like I need to run. It's weird. This became a sympathy deck out of nowhere. Illusion. So I have to have illusion to summon the mount. I was focused twice. I could do it 3 times. So I want at least 3 illusion. And I probably only run 2 time dice because I'm basically using it for Jericho's ability. And I can technically use status tokens on the the mount. So this is 3, 6, 9. 12, 15, 18, 25. I have 5 slots left. I'm feeling good. So I have 5 spots. What are my weak points at this point? What should I be looking to cover up? I have 5 card slots left. And I have a short stack of things that almost made the cut, but did. Nick, what up, Nick? How you doing? Says Accelerate could do a ton in this deck. What kind of card is Accelerate? Tyler says direct burn. What do you mean by direct burn? Nick's saying action spell. Okay, action spell called Accelerate. Let's take a look at it. It's funny because it's probably on the screen. And I can't read it. Huh. Levati said I would take steady gaze to control enemy huge units. One's probably enough. Accelerate. Is it possibly in my stack here? Steady gaze is nice. It's expensive. Oh, it's a new card, so it's in my new stack. Let's look at Accelerate. There it is. Side action time. Draw a card, change 2 dice in your active pool to decide your choice. You may take 2 additional side actions this turn. That is interesting because it could let me really side action into blinks or into the mounts as a side action. Guilt Link is also interesting. So what synergies make you think it's good in this deck, Nick, particularly? I'm gonna put it here in my very short stack. All right, I am going to look at, I should look at the alterations really quick as well, because I didn't do that so much. Okay, nothing much there. Nick says excel into adrenaline rush plus blink for a huge tempo spike, adding crescendo as a proactive reaction, and suddenly you have a massive tempo spike to get damage through. I like these words. I'm with you on that. That makes a lot of sense. Crescendo is an action. Is that right? I like the tempo beat here with the horses specifically. Like at some point, just really be able to run over my opponent is really interesting to me. Don't tell Steven. Crescendo's reaction. Okay, let's find it. Crescendo. Reaction. When you play a spell after you have declared attackers, deal damage to a unit. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Crescendo is great. Nick's saying Excel can also let you do double torrent ability on stallions. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the stallion itself has a side action. Okay, I'm sold. I get it. Okay, so I think I found my cards. That seems good. I like that a lot. Thank you so much for your help there. That was a clutch addition, I think. So I have my first 5. Then I need 25 cards. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 3, 6, 9, 20, 3, 26. What am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Times 3 is 24, 25, 26, 31. I got to cut a card. James saying, hey, Zach, and people here, I'm getting close to pulling the trigger on Ashes. This is a game that can be enjoyed casually. Unbelievably, the answer is yes. Nick, when we interviewed him, lead designer, a couple weeks ago, was even talking about potentially a PvE co-op solo experience that I'm very excited to hopefully get to exist at some point. One of the best things about Ashes is that it's super easy to learn and super deep, so you can play it forever. And it's also packaged where everything is a pre-built deck, and those pre-built decks are really fantastic for casual play, like amazing. I like all of these cards now. Shatter Pulse is like the most expensive here, so I'm tempted to like drop one of those and only have 2. I also ended up with way less one-ofs than I thought. Are there any cards that are really good as a one-of in this situation? I think beyond that, though, it's a 2 or 3 game turn. You're only going to get to use Jericho a couple of times. So, in fact, I don't think one-ofs is the way. I think I'm going to use that to focus my Ghostly Mount, period. And then at that point, I will be searching for specific answers if I need it. James, you pretty much nailed it. He says, it seems like everything I love about Magic, minus all the stuff I don't. I think I'm going to cut a Shatter Pulse. That's my instinct. So we have a deck, which is great. I'm going to stack these up and we're going to build Victoria, which I think is the real challenge here. I'm also going to get some water before we dive into that. And I am extremely excited to play this against Steven next week. Like, beyond excited. And I think this is a pretty common dice spread that we're going to see, which is 5-3-2. I've been doing that with a lot of my decks. It could be I'm awful. Nick saying, I appreciate that. Shatter Pulse could easily just sit in your hand taking a picture, so I remember for next week. If you draw 2 or 3 at the same time, dropping to 1 or 2 is nice because you don't have to fear that. I'm with it. So first 5, Conjurations, Jericho. We have a Jericho deck built. She's going to be bringing it down next week, which I am very much looking forward to. But now let's get to Victoria. Reminder, side action, exhaust, illusion. Reroll up to 4 of your opponent's dice. Reroll an equal number of your own dice. So that's what she does. And then copycat, play a spell after an opponent resolves. So you basically mimic one of their spells, which is a fun little ability. So I'm going to grab some water really quick, and I will be right back. And we'll get this Victoria deck built and prove the meta wrong. The guy told me that he accidentally he said it was All right, love seeing chat helping out. James here asking lots of questions. If you have any, feel free. I'll hit the ones that I can. But chat is great. We also have a Discord channel. You can find that link at the bottom of our website in the footer. And there are a ton of really amazing people in our Discord channel. They're always happy to help. Okay, so back to Victoria. Apparently the best character in the game. Just kidding. Miss Spirit is probably not doing anything crazy. Shadowhound, if focused, can be good. Shadowhound's pretty crazy. Shadow Spirit. You could just be really annoying. Really annoying. Okay, I'm going to need to look back through our conjurations because I started leaning nature and charm as I was going through the rest of this stack. So now that I have a clearer picture, going through some of the stuff I didn't pull much from the first time is helpful. Three-eyed owl. I don't want to go that route. That is a route though. We'll just keep it there. Even though I'm probably not going to do it, I just have to keep the option open. Just cruising. Nope, none of this. Mindfog. Are we gonna have to play birds? Steven's gonna love this. Now, I could see Mindfog Owl. That's a higher bird on my list. It's amazing how many. So like, just for context, in this stack of conjurations, things that I just can't even play because of the magic types I've chosen, are almost all of these. So that's another thing you can do if you really want, is just pick a couple magic types, filter down to just those cards, and deck building is a lot easier to see. Because you're not comparing all possible combinations. Man, you know what? Charm is, if you want to play Charm conjurations, it's just the birds, isn't it? That's the options we've been given. Huh. Nightshade Swallow. The summon Nightshade Swallow has that discard effect. Mr. B. Figaro saying Zach's secretly playing Wingspan again. I mean, I just might be. So the charm conjurations are basically the birds. So a way to slice this is not to play the charm conjurations. Lavati says, wait, is this a mill deck in the making? So I think if you're going to make reasonable use of Victoria, she has the reroll ability, which can just make you more efficient, right? And it prevents your opponent from being on side actions and power dice in general, because you can always do that and do your main action. So you could like make them reroll and then attack so they can't react with stuff. So there is that version of this deck, which I like. Like when I was looking at the allies, Hollow's fine. The Battle Seer is really good, but I'd have to be playing music. Battle Seer could actually be played in my other deck, which is interesting. Flash Archer is good. Rose Fire Dancer. Okay, so maybe I'm going to be a little heavier on the allies. I don't really need a ton of conjuration action, but we'll come back to that in a second. Shadow Guard I really like. So the thing I like about Victoria is that you have these, when your opponent doesn't have access to the right dice on your turn after you side action, it gets interesting. There's a moment there that gets created, but I like these big attacks. So let's keep looking. If I'm looking at, is there a world where she doesn't have conjuration? Someone was asking earlier if it was possible to build a deck like that. Because I could basically, interesting. Let's really look through these cards really quick. There's a ton of really good allies here. Enchanted Violinist, Beast Tamer, Imperial Ninja. Return to Soil. Seal is a really good card I like. Someone said Mind Probe is too niche. The thing about Mind Probe that I'm not sold that that's too niche. I also really like Mist Typhoon. Michael, last we heard about Breaker of Fate was late May-ish, but given the timeline we saw with the Reborn upgrade kit, kept getting delayed and stuff. So really, realistically, until it's in our hands, not exactly counting on it. So there's ultimately a really big decision to make at some point. Let me look at these spellboard spells. Secret Door. Choose a target unit you control with a value of life 1. It cannot be blocked for the remainder of the turn. I do like that. So here's what I'm thinking. The thing that would wreck all these one-cost things is your opponent having the right card. Agree? So, as an example, I need a way to make sure they do not have the dice to use it and then the card to use it. So that's where, to me, cards like Mind Probe are really interesting because I don't want my one life stuff to get wrecked. Now, is there something that prevents small life things from getting wrecked? Like that Sacred Ground card. People saying Particle Shield. Yeah, you're not wrong. We'll get back to that, I'm sure. Sacred Ground. divine though, so we're not doing that. Particle shield. Where is it at? It's not a ready spell though, right? Where was it? I'm talking more, so like, as an example, Mist Typhoon. 1 to everything, draw a card. Can't exactly, I mean, I could do it. What kind of card is Particle Shield? It's a reaction. Let's look at that. It's not awful. There's nothing that universally buffs all your units, right? Really, I need to find a conjuration that has 1. Like a Shadow Spirit, which is thematic here. That actually fits really well into this. So as an example, like if I have a secret door and a Shadow Spirit, because I want to be able to get it back every turn. So we'll put these over to the side for a second. Spell board's 5, so that's good. So the thing I like about Secret Door is I have other units that have 1, like the Shadow Guard is an example, and the Rose Fire Dancer. They can make use of it, but if I always know I have a Shadow Spirit as well, the board can get cleared and it's actually kind of fine. The Shadow Spirit also fits in with my make them meditate situation. Memory Theft is really interesting to me. So they either have to take a damage or discard the card of choice that you pick. That's eventually going to be a problem. So that's on my short list for sure. Rose Charm and Purge are also on my short list, so we'll come back to that. Things I definitely like a lot. I like Rose, Fire Dancer, and Shadow Guard. Hollow fits in with this theme quite a bit. Battleseer doesn't. Levati, I'm with you. Just getting to see their hand is a privilege. Flat Charger, I can see running some amount of. I don't think Beast Tamer's fitting in anymore. Maybe he is. I have a lot going on here. I feel like there's something. There's definitely stuff here. Am I even running? I'm not. I'm probably going to get off of nature. I have nothing currently that requires nature except for Mist Typhoon. But I don't think that fits into this deck, unfortunately. Seal is an interesting card. It's so close to being what I want. Now, Strange Copy is very good here because I can turn these little 1 health units into something crazy. And it's this whole copycat idea of Victoria, which I like a lot. I don't know that I have anything worth Golden Veiling. Remorse if we end up going that direction. Figures in the Fog. Love it. The Shadows, also phenomenal. Amon, I have not. I haven't seen the rules reference for Champions. Oh, that's right. Shadow Hound. It costs 3, though. That's very expensive. I think he's good, but a Shadow Spirit costs 1 and is 1 less attack. And with Secret Door, it is very unblockable, which I like. James saying, hey, Zach, is the TC physical store open again? What's it like over there? It's not open. We closed for COVID. It's getting a lot better, even in Oklahoma and the States in general. So it's almost to the point where if we just had a store sitting there, we would be prepping to really just open. But because we closed and we had our lease ending and stuff, and we were planning on doing some crazy stuff in the next version of the store, we're kind of in an in-between right now. So it's going to be a little bit longer, even past I think when we would normally have open, because we're doing some crazy stuff that we're working on for this next one. So hoping to be open as soon as possible, but still going to take some time to get there. All right. James, we have a temporary space that we're in, offices and whatnot. We do curbside pickup throughout the month, but we're working towards opening the next location, so that's going to happen. Vivati's saying the Summon Spectral Assassin can return an exhausted ally to hand, draw another card, and is also 1 health. The opponent can't react when you punch with it. So let's look at that. That's an action card, right? Side action, Summon Spectral Assassin. And then when this unit declares an attack, opponents may not play reaction spells for the turn. That's expensive to get a 2/1 into play. Like a card and 2 dice for a 1-time creature is tough for me. Thanks, James. So let's think about this. I think I'm going to be making them meditate quite a bit. So things that really fit into this strategy. Hollow. Who knows where Copycat fits into this? Shadow Spirit is really good at this. How many of those can I have out? 3? Shadow Spirit helps. Memory Theft helps. Because you're going to lose a card, which is the meditation strategy. Enchanted Violinist works. Imperial Ninja works. I love Figures in the Fog. I also dig Strange Copy. Weirdly. Return to Soil is solid. I have a lot of options. To Shadows is good. Generically. Mind Probe. Let's see what fits into my discard strategy. Specifically. The thing also, so for Mill in this game, is it trying to make them meditate? Yeah, it's trying to make them meditate. That's one way to do it. There's also just direct Mill stuff, right? To discard cards. But the more they have to meditate, they either take really weak turns or they discard cards, which is good. Steady Gaze is just powerful. So the die. Nature's going away. I think we're on 50-50. I like Charm Illusion. That's not a combo that I don't think I've ever played that combo. Jason, I'm trying for Vicky specifically, saying he thinks the combination of Force Meditates and Direct Mill has potential. The thing about it is, like, you still want to do damage with Mill, right? So if you can get them down to 5 or 8 health by the time they are out of deck, and once they're out of deck, Victoria's crazy because you just re-roll their good dice that they roll, and the odds are they're not going to be able to play their good cards. I was looking at Abundance earlier. Is that a ready? I think it's a ready spell. I think I shifted that. Yeah, Abundance. All players drop the 2 cards. For each card they can't or don't deal a damage. Reduce the damage you take by 1 if it's focused. Reduce it by an extra 1 if it's double focused. So you just are making them see their cards a lot faster, which is obviously not bad when you have stuff like Mind Probe. Jason says 3-eyed owl's got to go in. I don't know if that's true. I have all the birds up top because they are good. 3-eyed owl focuses. They have to discard a card from their hand, which, you know, you might just be right. So let's do this. Put the owl in. That's a that. That's a that. They also just cheap summons. Super good. What up, Tim? Nathaniel says once they're out of deck, they don't lose, but basically they don't have resources coming in, correct? Yeah, so they don't get to replenish their hand. If you have to draw at the end, when you draw back up to 5 and you can't, you take a damage for each card you can't draw. And meditating is discarding cards from hand, from your spell board, or from your deck to fix your dice. And so once you're out of cards to discard like that, you can't fix your dice. So you get what you get. And Victoria's ability lets me reroll 4 of those. And then even my Shadow Spirit lets me turn things down. So I can really control them once they run out of deck. Orchid Dove also not bad here. She put it in the side. Let's go this way. I'm going to drop the Imperial Ninja. I'm going to run... So I basically... it's a lot of allies. It's probably too many. I feel like there's a thread here. And I just have to pull it. Hoover asking how we like Galaxy's Most Wanted for Champions. I'm a big fan of it. The difficulty increase is something I was looking for, so I'm a fan. So there's something here. It's probably too many. I'm definitely running Hollow. I don't think I have enough. I guess I kind of do. Like Enchanted Violinist is only going to remove 1 life things. But it does discard when they do have 1 life things. I almost need... Tim says there are a lot of things there. Yeah, they are. Nathaniel's saying, so if you're trying to fatigue them, do you have enough blocks, etc., to hold them out that long? That's what I'm looking at. So I'm potentially going to be starting with a summon 3-Eyed Owl, summon Shadow Spirit, and summon Orchid Dove. If I do that for 3 dice around, I can have 3 conjurations that can all block and do annoying things. So the Orchid Dove, when it's destroyed, they discard a card. The 3-Eyed Owl discards a card from their hand. And then the Shadow Spirit actually turns one of their dice down. So that's solid. And then I have Secret Door to basically sneak through some damage. And then I'm synergizing that with some allies that I can also sneak through for some more damage. So particularly Shadow Guard and Hollow. Hollow, when it comes into play, I get a lower 2 dice down, so that fits into the theme, and as a 2 damage attack, I can Secret Door. So I'm probably going to actually run more copies of Secret Door. But the other thing that I'm looking at is I have cards like Figures in the Fog and To Shadows and Strange Copy. So there are ways there for me to, and even Steady Gaze, lock down their like scary stuff. What I don't necessarily have at this very second is a AoE type situation. To get rid of a bunch of units all at once. Is there an AoE out of Illusion Charm? Exhortation. What's Exhortation do? I've seen that name today. It was in one of my stacks. Is Exhortation a new card? Try it, Tyler. What kind of card is Exhortation? Nathaniel, yeah, it's on the screen. I can't read it. It's the one where the units get to share their attacks. That Steve was running that in his Rhino deck. So things I really like. Actually, I need to look here too. So Fade Away, not bad. I didn't look at the alterations with these magic types. Mist Typhoon is only enemies? That's crazy. For real? I put it back over here. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's going back in. So check this out. I am back into 2 nature. And then this will shape everything. I think I run 2 nature, which is going to open up the door to a lot of stuff. I'm not sold on the birds any longer. Orchid dove, three-eyed owl. They're maybes. Still possible. But let me look at the nature conjurations really quick. See what we're working with. Let's see. At the nature. Frostback bear. Probably not. Butterfly monk. Probably not. Spider. Probably not. And that's ice golem. Probably not. But that's it. I do like Frostfang. That's a great 1 health ally for this deck. I agree with the assessment. Frostfang is one of my favorite little units. Let me find them. It's amazing how many options there are even now. Frostfang's perfect for this deck. She's great. So I like Frostfang a ton. And it really comes down to, it could be a 4-4 situation. Yeah, I'm always looking for an excuse to run the Gilder, Tyler. Nick, what's up? So a few things I'm keen on. Maybe you can shed some light on this. So it's somewhat of using Victoria's ability to force my opponent to meditate. So Shadow Spirit, as an example, to start. I also have Secret Door that I really like. So Secret Door is going to give my 1 health units the ability to sneak in. So I was looking at all the 1 health units and then ways to protect them and you know, deal. Frostfang is a natural fit here. Boy, this is a Stormwind sniper. That's not what we need. It's 2 Frostfangs and a Stormwind. But basically, I'm looking to make use of Secret Door, and I'm looking to put pressure on my opponent to meditate. Is essentially where I'm at. Agree, Chris. It's like I need this answer and say I went to 2 nature because I realized how good Mist Typhoon is because it only does damage to my opponent's units. And I didn't really have anything for dealing with AoEs. And I was scared to use it because I have a lot of 1 life stuff. But then I realized it was opponents only. Nick saying, sounds groovy. Frostfang with Secret Door is cool. Yeah, I like it a lot. And Frostfang is obviously a little safer from AoEs myself, which I like. So Rosefire Dancer may or may not end. I love that unit. Same with the Flash Archer, but for now, it's kind of on the periphery. So I'm going to slide these over. I also like Enchanted Violinist now. So primarily because Mist Typhoon can do an AoE damage, 1 to everything. Enchanted Violinist can work. Return to Soil is also working. So I'm starting to see some threads here that I like quite a bit. I'll at least take a look at that, Levati. You called it what? Frozen Crown? +3 attack for 3 dice, but obviously on a unit that isn't going to get blocked. I would be so nervous to put that on a unit. Like, because I can't put it on a unit and also swing that turn. All right. I also really like the idea of Strange Copy. Turning one of these if I play a hollow and get the effect and then I get a Strange Copy it into something great. Same thing with the Shadow Spirits. All right, let's see how many I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 16, 17. I do like memory theft a lot. Just consistently doing that. And coming back to it always comes back to the particle shield, I think. Nick says Stormwind Sniper has concealed. That was the card I just accidentally had. Maybe it was Fate. Stormwind Sniper. So it's got the ceremonial dice. That's the problem. That sends me down a different path. I did move away from Mindfog Owl, but I was never really on it. It was just on my short list. It is another unblockable situation. Well, I guess actually, if I secret door something, they can't block. So then if I also attack with the Mindfog Owl, then they can't. Stacks on stacks. I like that though, because Mindfog is my favorite of the birds. So let's just live here for a second. Let's just live there for a minute. Memory theft, I think, is a good one of. So I'm almost to my first 5. And I've got just dice to burn. So these need to stay. So I want to run something beefy here, like a Flash Archer or a Beast Tamer. Bavati's saying Mindfog Owl plus Massive Growth for a 6/6 that attacks along with Secret Doored guy for 6 extra unblockable. Tyler says hits like button all sly. Let's see. Massive Growth. Let me see that. That could be a good, because I only have a couple things using nature right now, and I want to keep it that way, but only be attached to a unit with attack value of 2 or less. Okay, so that's interesting. So I can put that on the Mindfog Owl, and then if I side action Secret Door anything, attack with it and the Mindfog Owl, it's like a weird situation. I like that a lot, honestly. Do like. We're getting somewhere, friends. What's like the Beast Tamer's my current choice, but what's a big? I have 5 dice literally that I'm not doing anything with on my opening turn yet, so I can play something big on the first turn. What's the biggest thing we can think of that's really annoying for my opponent? if I were choosing now, it's like a beast tamer, then I can ultimately nature, illusion. Ben says, Zach, have you ever made a mono dice deck? I have. We did that a while back, but I haven't done it in a minute now. Nick said those colors lack a knight, sadly. Yeah, I noticed that earlier when I was going through. Figures in the Fog is so good. Steady Gaze is so good. To Shadows is so good. These are just generically so good. Mist Typhoon, so good. I'm just getting my like definites here. Copycat's gonna go in because flavor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 27. So I'm already over at this point. So things to cut. And I like the Massive Growth play. I don't think I need 3 of all these allies. I do like 3 Frostfang, but I only have so many nature dice. And I'm basically going to use 3 illusion, probably most turns, and 2 charm. So I need something to do with this is where the math gets kind of interesting. I have a lot of illusion abilities down here, but I only have so many illusion dice hanging out. The Beast Tamer might not end up being it, because I might need more illusion dice. Like these are all things I want to use every turn. So then I'm basically left with 5 dice around. And looking at my spread here, there's a lot of illusion. So Nick saying Secret Door is a card I'm always happy to draw into in round 2. Plus, its value is lower in round 1, where battlefield control is key. It's also sticking out as a low-cost card that could make room for a bigger threat. That is, if you're cool to run 2 or 3 Secret Doors in hopes of drawing into it. I am a certain amount of cool with it. Interesting. I'm going to look through the allies really quick and see what beefy allies there are. Nothing really. Not in these dice types that I don't already have. So, let's think about this. This is staying. Let's do things I'm definitely doing. I have a ton of illusion-based things that I'm wanting to play from deck. what are all of the charms that I'm playing in my deck? So I have ultimately, I'll spend a charm on Memory Theft and a Mind Fog Owl. But then the only other charms I have are Enchanted Violinist and Return to Soil. I probably Shadow Guard is expensive. So I'm probably going to cut one of those. This is dense. So Nick, you're saying if I run Secret Door in my deck as a 3 of, I basically now have 2 open spots to spend my initial dice on. I think if I'm including 2 nature, I should probably include something I can pay 2 for in my opening hand. So I think I need to start with a Frostfang. That seems, I need to make use of those on turn 1. If there's anything better I could be running, I could open with the Massive Growth, which would be hilarious. And then I really need... because I'm not using Charm that much. I maybe need one more here, but how many is this? 1, 2, 5, 3, 2. Classic. So then what does that open me up for? That's a Flash Archer, which is pretty solid because I can do this. Seems like a pretty okay opening. And then my perennial stuff, I have 2 free, which can play me any of this. I have these free because I need to use that and probably that and that. So then I've got 1 charm. So 1 charm floating. These are fine now. What was that? Levati saying Shadow Guard's a bit better in a deck where you have valuable units to protect. What is it guarding here? But yeah, surprise kill against a 3 health unit. I mean, it's really a surprise unit. If I have a Mind Fog Owl out, a surprise unit I can put into play, then use a Secret Door on, attack with the Mind Fog Owl. It's 5 damage that you really can't see coming. Yeah, Nick's got it. I see it more as an aggressive tool, as you say. You can play it, but don't guard with it, and then you have a 3 attack threat to follow up. Especially if you like react with a Shadow Guard and then a Figures in the Fog to exhaust you just create a lot of momentum there. Secret door. I got to find my other secret doors. That's right. Nick's saying only one reaction per turn. So you can only do one of those things. Because he counts as a reaction, the Shadow Guard, the hidden. Oh, I think it went here. Boom. Okay, hidden counts as a reaction. Let's see. My spell board, I have 3, 4, so I can fit it. Now, when I don't hit secret door, how bad does this get? Because I could secret door instead of Frostfang. I like that threat on the board, though. My opponent really needs to deal with it. So let's see. 3, so 2, a 2, 2. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So I have 38, so I still have to cut 8 here. Let's go classic 1. I'm gonna leave that. 2, that's expensive. This is 3. I cut a copycat. Five. 14. All right, let's keep cutting. I'm gonna go down to 2 Mist Typhoon. That makes me have a clean set of 6 things that have nature after my opening. Nature dice are always good. Strange Copy probably doesn't end up making the cut, unfortunately. I think Figures, the Shadows, 2 Steady Gates is good. $12, 13 plus 5 is 18, so I have 12 more spots. 2 of these got to go. Let's go 1 Figures. So there's 6 here. And then I probably don't need 3 secret doors. I want to see it. I really want to see it. But I also don't ever think I need 3 of that in a round. What are the odds? 2 out of 25. Drawing 5. It's low. I would like to start the game with that. Is memory theft the problem? I think it is. So I think I'm more comfortable definitely starting with a secret door. So I still have 2 here. And then if I cut the violinist instead, and I lean back in, let's say I go back to 3 shadow guards. Let's say I cut this completely. This is definitely a much harder deck to build than the first one in my brain. So there's 6 here. I like that stack. There's 6 here. I like those units a lot. It's got it. My first 5 is here. So that's really not the question at this point. But I don't want to not have secret door. I'm also comfortable having just 1. So I'd rather start with it, and then if I draw into memory theft, that's fine. That's a fine thing to do. So 6, 12, 18 plus 5 is 23. Suddenly I have a lot of extra space. 2, 4, 6, 12, 18, 21 plus 5, 26. I have 4 spots left. So now we get to have fun. I'm not even sure if memory theft's going in yet. Cards that might come back. Because let's even see what I'm discarding at this point. This became a weirdly aggro deck. Yeah, I'm not really discarding at all. So memory theft, unfortunately, as great as I think that card is, and as relieving as it would be to play Ashes, knowing what's in my opponent's hand at all times, I don't think it ends up making it. So instead, we get a bunch of cards that I like back. All these really powerful illusion cards, Mist Typhoon. We're going to go with 3 copycat for now. It's basically 3, 6, 3, 6, 12, 15, 21, 25, 30. We did it. And actually, so these are nature. Because after the first turn, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, an extra die. Those go there. And then after the first turn, I'm using these every round. So this is my free dice. Definitely 2 nature is happening. And then I have to have at least 2 illusion. But these are kind of fair game. So let's see. This is all illusion, 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 and nature. Illusion, 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 and nature. So the only thing I'm charming into play right now is the Mind Fog Owl, which I like. But I only ever need 1 of that. So I think this becomes illusion or nature, but probably illusion. Because I have a 2 cost, yeah, it's going to be illusion. So I actually ended up on 7 illusion, 2 nature, and 1 charm. I won't be surprised if at some point I end up on some less charm maybe, or less illusion and more over here. Taurus saying, do you not like running more than 1 copy of each summon? It depends. If there's a focus ability I really like, or I want to use it multiple times in the same round. But really, to me, with Summon Mindfog Owl and Summon Shadow Spirit, I I don't necessarily want to use those a lot in the same turn. I just need to use them. I need to have units I know I can get into play, and that's really what that's about for me. So yeah, there's specific scenarios where I'm running multiple copies of a thing, but with these particular conjurations, it's not as powerful to get a second copy of that thing out, which maybe I'm totally wrong on. All right, so let me do a recount really quick. So I've got my opening 5 is Summon Mindfog Owl, Summon Shadow Spirit, Secret Door, Frostfang, and Flash Archer. And I can play all those and use my ability on the first turn. I like that a lot. I think Mindfog Owl and Shadow Spirit are also good to start with. They're also not going to be seemingly the primary threats. Like Flash Archer being in play in turn 1, I think my opponent's going to want to try to deal with that. Frostfang 2, it's like really tough to deal with that. They can't just nature die it. They have to do 2 damage at the same time. So I really dig that. And then tricks that I have going are obviously Mindfog Owl with Secret Door is like super synergistic. If they can't block whatever Secret Door, then they also can't block the Mindfog Owl. I can Massive Growth on the Mindfog Owl. Technically I got Massive Growth on pretty much every unit in my deck. I guess I can't do it on the Shadow Guard. So the Frostfang, the Hollow, the Mindfog Owl, and the Shadow Spirit can all have Massive Growth on it, which is fine. I have Mist Typhoon to deal with AoE. I have Copycat to do who knows what. I have a lot of just direct control. Figures in the Fog, they attack, I exhaust something. Steady Gaze, I just exhaust something straight up. To Shadows, I discard something that's already exhausted. So I have spot control and I have AoE control. And then I'm kind of trying to force my opponent to meditate with Victoria's ability and trying to set up a scenario where like they attack into me, I drop a Shadow Guard, then I can use Secret Door on Shadow Guard unexpectedly to either get 3 damage free, or if I have a Mindfog out, now it's 5 damage that they can't do anything about. And if I really go for the gusto, Massive Growth on a Mindfog Owl is the real heat. So then they basically have to deal with it at that point. Otherwise, it can get really bad for them. So that's the deck. We'll see. I assume there's going to be a lot of tweaks inbound, but I think this is a pretty good place to start for Victoria, and we'll play it and see how it feels and go from there. But I'm very excited because I wanted to get different Phoenixborn and specifically different magic types than I typically use, and that absolutely happened here. What is that? That is my maybe pile. All right, I'm going to switch back to the main cam, and now I'm going to be able to pay attention a little more to chat before I get out of here. So if you have any questions or you want me to talk about anything, now is the time. Elijah is saying, I've never seen these cards before. They have a really nice look. I like the white background. Yeah, the graphic design and the art for this game is one of my favorites. It's very unique, just very minimal. One of my favorite cards is Holy Knight, which will pop up on the screen. The white templating, the minimalism with the art on the cards is just fantastic. So check out, there's a Watch It Played video on Ashes Reborn. I would definitely check that out if you're interested in this game. It is super clean. Breakfast Man saying, what do you think of Summon Over 2nd Edition? It's interesting to see Plaid Hat try to reboot 2 games at the same time. I think that, took a look at the rules, played a couple times online. I think they did a really great job with that game. And it was a game I really liked back in the day when we used to play it. So kind of like Ashes, it's just being cleaned up. And so for fans of that game, I think it's a tremendous opportunity. We'll probably play it at some point on the channel, but we weren't as attached to it as we have previously been to Ashes. But still, I think it's a great game, and we like Plaid Hat quite a bit. So if you are interested in Summoner Wars, definitely check out. They have an online app where you can play, so you can check it out before you even buy the physical copy. And the second half of your question, and what do I think of them rebooting 2 games at the same time? It makes a lot of sense. They basically went independent again, and as part of that, they had some games they wanted to make that probably wouldn't have made sense or been published by Asmodee when they were owned by them, because they were games that had already come out and gone. And you have two, if you're going to restart your company, Summoner Wars is where that company really started. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And it seems like with Ashes, they were obviously interested in bringing a game back. So I wasn't surprised to see that at all. Eddie says, this isn't Flesh and Blood. Whoops, wrong day. That was yesterday. Breakfast Man says, cool. Well, hey, this was... Oh, Elijah says, so I know nothing is exactly the same, but which of the newer games out there have the closest feel to Android Netrunner? I was terrible, but I love that game. Huh. I honestly don't think there's a good answer to that. Netrunner is just such a unique game that it's hard to compare anything to it. Ashes to me feels like a non-collectible, modern, cleaned up, beautiful next generation of Magic style game. Flesh and Blood to me feels like the evolution of whatever Star Wars Destiny was. Not set in the Star Wars universe, it's set in a more fantasy setting, but the mechanical pieces of that feel like it's an evolution in that kind of game. Breakfast Man saying it'd be great to see you guys play Summoner Wars on stream someday. Well, it's quite possible. Lavati says, have you ever heard any news about Netrunner being rebooted, or is Nisei publishing physical cards? Nisei, actually, we have some of the new things that got printed. They're printing services that you can get them printed through. And I was really impressed with what I've seen so far. We're planning on playing the Nisei stuff not that far in the future. Eoin saying, thanks for the stream. I enjoyed hearing your logic as you built the deck. It's definitely a process for me, right? Some people go in, like Steven, I think, does this. He has like a specific concept in mind, and then he'll build a deck around it. Whereas I find a Phoenixborn I like, and then I start going through cards until I find things that I start stringing ideas and concepts together, and I start iterating and going through my cards. But once you define your magic pool, everything gets way easier. So even now with Victoria, when I'm playing this deck, I'm going to start seeing my problems, and I'm going to understand which magic I need to lean towards to get solutions. And there aren't that many cards for each magic type at this point. Edward says, I haven't been able to jump in on a live stream in a while because of a new job, but it's great to see some deck building. The first game I've managed to get my other half involved with. You're talking about Ashes? I've heard a lot of people saying they play with their spouses, and that this is a game that their spouse wouldn't otherwise hasn't typically been interested in playing these kind of games, but this was the first one they could get them into. Matt says, favorite video game you're playing at the moment? I don't play much video games. I used to play a lot more. But ever since we opened the store, just the amount of tabletop games that I'm getting to play, when I'm at home and I'm not playing games, rarely am I looking to play more games. I mean, that's a fortunate thing to be able to say. But if I am going to take time to play games, it's typically playing card games or miniature games or physical games. All right, hey, this has been great. Thank you all for being here. Again, shout out to Nick for being in the chat and for being helpful and for leading the charge on the design of such an incredible evolution of this game. If you're unfamiliar with Ashes, check it out. Watch it play. Did a learn to play. It was super good. And if you're new to deck building, just get started. I mean, I would play with the precons first, but then find a Phoenixborn you like. Start going through your cards and making stacks of stuff that makes sense for them, and you'll start stringing stuff together. Slap 30 cards together, play, figure out why you're losing, make adjustments, and just keep going. And lean into that process. I think that process is one of the hallmarks of a card game. And what I love about it is just that iteration and testing and iteration. But definitely don't feel like you have to be a master to try this. I still only think I'm okay at Ashes. And it's a learning process, but it's a super enjoyable process for me. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're this far into the live stream, then I have to assume you did. If not, then, maybe this isn't the game for you. Anyways, stay safe out there and enjoy. I'm looking forward. Next week, I'm hopefully going to play both the Jericho and the Victoria decks that I built today. and I'll see you there. See you guys.